Of course, the big news for this month are all the events and new releases announced for the launch of Flames of War version 4 in just a couple of weeks. This post on the Battlefront website looks at the different options for receiving the free version 4 rulebooks. We covered this in the last episode, but there have still been comments online about people not being sure about how to get them, so it's worth looking again. The main option is still to contact your local hobby store or online retailer where you purchased your copy of version 3. This free offer includes the hardback rulebook and the mini rulebook from the original Open Fire set, but not the simplified rules from the latest Open Fire. The procedure outlined on the website is to take your version 3 rules in with you to the store. They will attach a version 3 veteran sticker to your book and give you the free version 4 books. The free books in this offer are the 112-page A4-sized version 4 rulebook covering early and late war, as well as a smaller 64-page A5 book covering special rules and warriors. There's a limit of 1 rulebook swap per customer. If you want the new hardback version 4 mid-war rulebook, you'll have to buy that. If you bought through an online retailer, Battlefront suggests that if you let that retailer know, they can send the free rulebooks through with your next order. If none of that's practical, Battlefront suggests contacting their customer service team with a picture of your existing rulebook. They say they'll sort you out one way or another by sending you copies directly or directing you to your local participating retailer. As Battlefront posted here, they've done this before and they don't want existing players to miss the opportunity to play Flames of War version 4. This is a generous offer and I'm looking forward to browsing the new books. The Battlefront website also has details of exciting events planned for the 4th edition launch weekend on March 11th and 12th. There will be a battle report with the Desert Rats facing off against the Afrika Korps. There will also be coverage from around the world as players get to grips with the new rules. There are plenty of videos planned for the launch weekend. These include painting and hobby videos of the new version 4 miniatures for the British and Germans, as well as updated boot camp videos to help players get started with playing 4th edition. I'm looking forward to checking these out to see the updated rules in action. Battlefront are also promising behind-the-scenes footage from their New Zealand, UK and American offices. It promises to be a good weekend. The other big news from Battlefront was the release of the version 4 pre-order schedule, which shows what products will be released over the next few months. In the last Rumours Lies we covered some of the highlights, particularly the new desert terrain. The announcement starts with the late February releases. These will be available by the time this video is released, and include the double-sided gaming mat, desert palms, extra-large dune, desert escarpments, small desert house, medium desert house, and desert walls. One I hadn't seen mentioned before was the desert basing kit. This kit contains Sicily yellow, dry dust and battledress brown paints, fine and superfine grit, and parched straw and spring undergrowth flock. This kit will get you started basing stands for the desert. Early March is the official Flames of War version 4 release date, and this sees some of the main products becoming available. This includes the Flames of War version 4 rulebook covering 1942-43, as well as the El Alamein box set. The new rangefinder, destroyed markers and mission token set will also be released here. The hardcover rulebook rules are the same as those in the free rulebook, but this version includes cards for vehicles and unit stats. The El Alamein box set is the new version 4 starter box set, and contains both British and German forces to get new players up and running. It has a plastic Panzer III and 4 for the Germans, and a Grant and 2 Crusaders for the British. There are 2 tank commander sprues, terrain cards, dice and unit cards. Books in the set include a mini version 4 rulebook and a special Start Here booklet to get new players into the game quickly. Interestingly, this starter set doesn't have any infantry, so it will be a tank-heavy introduction to the game. However, this will simplify the learning curve for new players, one of the key goals of the updated game, and infantry can be added later once players have mastered using armour. Late March releases see the first 2 version 4 forces books, the Desert Rats for the British and the Afrika Korps book for the Germans. These are supported with the Monty's Desert Rats and Rommel's Afrika Korps box sets, and new paint sets and sprays to paint them with. The Afrika Korps book covers German forces in the desert in 1942 and 43, while the Desert Rats covers the British for the same theatre and period. Both books are 48-page A4 hardbacks. The new box sets are designed to complement these new books. Monty's Desert Rats box set has 8 plastic tanks and 2 guns. There are 5 Grant tanks and 2 Crusaders, and the guns can be built as 17 25-pounder anti-tank guns or standard 25-pounder artillery. These are all new plastic kits. Tank commanders and gun crew figures are supplied, as well as decal sheets and unit cards. A version 4 rulebook rounds out this set. The Rommel's Afrika Korps box set is very similar, with 5 Panzer IIIs, 3 Panzer IVs and 2 8.8cm guns, all in plastic, as well as tank commanders and gun crews, decal sheets and version 4 unit cards. Again, a version 4 rulebook is part of the set. While these two box sets are balanced in numbers, I'm not sure how they'll stack up against each other in effectiveness. I suspect the Germans have the edge in performance with this matchup of forces, particularly with the fearsome 8.8cm guns. The 17 25-pounders are obviously included here to try and match the Germans' firepower and give the Desert Rats a fighting chance, even though they are actually not in common usage. Again, there's no infantry here, just armour and guns. In early April, the Desert Forces are expanded, with an M3 Stuart Honey armoured troop for the British and a Tiger heavy tank platoon for the Germans. Again, this gives the Germans an advantage in firepower here. Dice and token sets for both sides, and the large dune terrain piece also becomes available. The new plastic M3 Honey kit will be very popular. These are iconic desert light tanks for the British. The box set contains 5 plastic tanks, a tank commander sprue, a decal sheet and 5 unit cards. Looking at the exploded diagram here, this kit builds the M3 Stuart 1 with the hexagonal commander's cupola. The similar Stuart 3 based on the M3A1 has a modified turret without this cupola. This kit has the British turret-mounted smoke grenade launchers, desert pattern side skirts and a 30 caliber machine gun. The Tiger heavy tank platoon has 2 plastic Tiger 1s. The box set has a tank commander sprue, decal sheet and unit cards. This is an early Tiger without Zimmerit anti-mine coating, but including the Feifel air filters to allow the Tiger to operate in the dusty desert conditions. The cupola is the early dustbin type and can be open or closed. There are spare track links for the turret and hull. The turret appears to have smoke discharges moulded on. With the big 8.8cm gun, this packs a lot of punch for mid-war, although Tigers only arrived in North Africa in December 1942 and were only operated in small numbers. Late April sees the arrival of the big guns. The British get the 25-pounder and 17 25-pounder field troops, while the Germans get the 8.8cm heavy AA platoon and the 10.5cm artillery battery. These are accompanied by the artillery template, smoke markers, smoke bombardment markers and the desert scrub terrain. The 17-pounder anti-tank troop contains 2 plastic 17 25-pounder guns, 2 plastic 8th Army gun crews and a unit card. The 17 25-pounder was a hybrid weapon made by fitting the heavy 17-pounder anti-tank gun onto a 25-pounder gun carriage. The 17-pounder was still in development at this stage and a carriage for it hadn't been designed. 100 pre-production 17-pounder guns were converted in this way and rushed into action in North Africa to combat heavier German tanks like the Tiger. This will give British forces some much-needed anti-armour punch. Much more common was the excellent British 25-pounder artillery piece. The 25-pounder field troop box set has 4 plastic 25-pounder guns, 4 plastic 8th Army gun crews, and 2 unit cards. The guns are pretty simple and robust, comprising just 7 parts each. These should handle table use quite well. Each gun has a limber, a wheeled trailer which carried tools and ready ammunition. The limbers seem to have options to be modelled open or closed. Despite being listed as an anti-aircraft unit, the 8.8cm heavy AA platoon is also a formidable anti-tank weapon, giving German troops a long-range heavy armoured punch. This box set has 2 plastic 8.8cm guns, 2 Afrika Korps gun crews and a unit card. The 10.5cm artillery battery box gives the Germans indirect artillery fire support. This gun is a dependable workhorse that is well tested and effective. The box contains 4 plastic 10.5cm howitzers, 4 plastic Afrika Korps gun crews and 2 unit cards. This is also a simple and robust kit with each gun consisting of just 5 parts. Again, these should last well on the table. May will see one of the releases I'm keen to look at with the Crusader Armoured Troop box. Germans will get the Panzer III tank platoon box, and we'll see the first infantry releases with a rifle platoon for the Germans and a motor platoon as well as a HMG platoon and mortar section for the Brits. The large desert building will join the terrain products. Adding the infantry will really expand version 4's scope. Taking a look at the Crusader box, we get a lot of options here. This kit contains 5 plastic Crusader tanks, which can be finished as the 2-pounder armed Crusader 2 gun tank, the 6-pounder armed Crusader 3 gun tank, or the 3-inch howitzer armed Crusader 2 CS tank for close infantry support. Turret hatches can be modelled open or closed. This kit has the full desert skirts designed to try and minimise dust being kicked up from the tracks. Crusader is a beautiful looking tank, but it was lightly armed and armoured, and was never very reliable operating in the dusty desert conditions. The 6-pounder gun in the Crusader 3 helped, but Crusaders were relegated to second-line duties as soon as stocks of Grunt and Sherman tanks became available. The desert workhorse for the Germans was the Panzer III. The Panzer III tank platoon box set has 5 plastic Panzer III tanks, along with tank commanders, a decal sheet and 7 unit cards. This kit needs so many cards because this kit also has a lot of options available. It can be built as the Panzer III with the short 5cm gun, long 5cm gun, long 5cm gun with upgraded armour and mantlet, and the Panzer IIIN support version with the short 7.5cm howitzer designed to support Tiger units. There are optional engine deck hatches, driver's vision ports and open and closed couplers. The Panzer III was a good design and along with German training and tactics had a good kill ratio, but later in the desert campaign it was being overtaken by later designs like the Panzer IV. And Panzer IVs are next on the list, due for release in late May along with the Grunt Armoured Troop, Marder 7.62cm Tank Hunter, 15cm Lorraine Schlepper Battery, 6-pounder anti-tank platoon, and the Desert Oasis. The Panzer IV tank platoon box set has 5 plastic Panzer IV tanks, tank commander sprue, decal sheets and 5 unit cards. There are 2 variants of the Panzer IV you can build from this kit, the short 7.5cm howitzer Panzer IV and the long 7.5cm gun-armed version. The howitzer version could provide close support with HE rounds, but also had an anti-tank capacity with high explosive anti-tank rounds, some of the first heat rounds ever fielded. However, the longer 7.5cm high-velocity gun was a specialist anti-tank weapon, which allowed the Panzer IV to deal with the increasing armour protection of later Allied tanks. The Grunt Armoured Troop box has 5 plastic Grunt tanks, tank commanders, decal sheets and 5 unit cards. The Grant was a variant of the American-designed M3 medium tank, which featured a 75mm gun in a hull sponson and a 37mm gun in a smaller turret. The turret on the Grant was designed specifically to British requirements to house additional radio equipment, and is very different from the smaller turret used on US M3s. The main gun is mounted in the hull, because US manufacturers were not yet able to engineer and build a turret big enough to house the larger gun and absorb the recoil. Consequently, the Grant is a very tall tank, and the hull-mounted main armament limited its firing arc and meant it couldn't take a concealed hull-down position. This often left the Grant exposed, but the extra punch of the 75mm gun was welcomed by crews. This kit contains desert side skirts and the commander's coupler can be open or closed. The 15cm Lorraine Schlepper battery gives German players heavy artillery support for their Afrika Korps forces. This kit doesn't say it's plastic, so it may be resin and metal. It contains 4 15cm Lorraine Schlepper self-propelled artillery pieces, gun crews and unit cards. This vehicle is a German heavy gun mounted on a captured French tracked chassis. The 6-pounder anti-tank platoon box set has 4 plastic 6-pounder anti-tank guns, plastic 8th Army gun crews and a unit card. The 6-pounder was the standard British anti-tank gun in North Africa, after it replaced the obsolete 2-pounder gun. Each gun in this plastic kit comprises 6 parts, so again it should be robust and survive tabletop use. The gun pictured here is without a muzzle brake, which was the common configuration in the desert. Later guns in Italy and the European theatres featured a muzzle brake, but I don't know if this option's available on the sprue here. As we move into June, the releases continue to expand the options for North Africa lists for both sides with reconnaissance options. The British get a Humber armoured car troop and a universal carrier patrol, while the Germans get the SDKFZ 221-222 light scout troop and the SDKFZ 231 heavy scout troop. Germans also get the 5cm tank hunter platoon, with 5cm Pak 38 anti-tank guns, and the large desert house is added to the terrain range. British forces used armoured cars extensively for reconnaissance, and the Humber Armoured Car Troop contains 3 Humber armoured cars. Again, these are not listed as plastic, so might be resin and metal. The box also has a Tank Commander sprue and a unit card. Universal carriers were very versatile workhorses, providing transport, towing guns, and also acting in the reconnaissance role. The Universal Carrier Patrol box has 9 plastic Universal carriers, 3 sprues of 8th Army crew, a decal sheet and 3 unit cards. These are very simple and robust kits with only 5 parts per vehicle. I'm really looking forward to seeing these when they come out. The SDKFZ box sets cover the German light and heavy wheeled reconnaissance vehicles. The Light Scout Troop has 2 SDKFZ 222 2cm armoured cars and 2 SDKFZ 221 armoured cars armed with machine guns. There are 2 optional 2.8cm turrets to allow you to field different versions. The kit also has a Tank Commander sprue and a unit card. The heavy option is the SDKFZ 231 armoured car, an 8-wheeled specialist reconnaissance vehicle armed with a 2cm cannon. These were effective vehicles and featured all-wheel drive and all-wheel steering, as well as 2 driving positions, one front and one rear. Neither of these kits mention plastic or show an exploded assembly diagram. Hopefully more details will be available closer to their release date. The 5cm Tank Hunter platoon consists of 3 plastic 5cm Pak 38 anti-tank guns, along with plastic gun crews and a unit card. The exploded diagram shows this is another simple and robust kit of 6 parts per gun. The version 4 Afrika Korps lists I've seen show these anti-tank guns as an organic option for DAK rifle companies, so German players will need these. The later June releases shift the focus to the sky, with AA options for aircraft for British and German forces. The exception are the Panzer II light tank platoon for the Germans and the Desert Administration building in terrain. The Panzer II light tank platoon box has 5 Panzer IIs, a mobile and lightly armed tank fielding a 2cm cannon. Obsolete in other theatres, these light tanks continue to serve in North Africa. The only other thing in the box is a unit card. The SDKFZ 10/4 2cm light AA platoon has 4 tracked AA vehicles. The SDKFZ 10 was a utility half-track in widespread use in the German Army. It was turned into an anti-aircraft platform by fitting the 2cm Flak 30 AA gun on a turntable mounting in a platform in the cargo area. This box set also contains 1 unit card. Again, neither of these box sets mention plastic. The first aircraft releases for version 4 are old stalwarts, the Hurricane fighter for Desert Rats and the Stuka for the Afrika Korps. Each box set contains 2 aircraft, a decal sheet, 2 flight stands and 4 rare earth magnets, as well as the aircraft's unit card. The Hurricanes appear to be Hurricane 2Ds, armed with a 40mm Vickers S gun under each wing, primarily used in the anti-tank role. The Stukas appear to be armed with bombs. Again, these kits look to be resin. That's the end of the announced release schedule for Mid-War Forces for Flames of War version 4. There's some great stuff to look forward to in the first half of this year. Each release seems to be designed to introduce a new aspect of the updated game and mechanics: armour, infantry, artillery, air power. This might demand a bit of patience from players who want to get to grips with everything right away, but it should be worth it in the long run. I know I'm very excited to get my hands on some of the new plastics like the Universal Carriers, the Grants and the Crusaders, even the dreaded Plastic 88. I really hope Battlefront continue to bring out high-quality plastic for more of their range. Certainly the flexibility and options available in plastic could really help rationalise their range, and mean they need to carry less products in their inventory while still offering a wide range. If you want to look at the unit cards for some of these new releases, check out the What Would Patton Do website. They have a couple of articles looking through the army lists in the Desert Rats and Afrika Korps books, including some of the unit stats cards and descriptions and forces diagrams. I'll put a link to these articles in the description. In late-breaking news, while I was editing this video, Battlefront posted up some sample 4th edition Mid-War Army lists. These give an overview of the new format for Army list diagrams, and show examples of forces built from these. One announcement buried in this post is the Command Card Packs. These nation-specific packs will contain cards for units and formations, as well as famous warriors and objectives. These are due out after the initial wave of mid-war releases we've just looked at, so sometime later in 2017. Again, I'll post a link to this resource in the description. This has been an action-packed episode of Rumours and Lies, but there's lots of exciting new releases on the horizon. I look forward to seeing what these products look like as they roll out. It certainly is an exciting time to be a historical wargamer.